impenetrable evergreen forests, countless animal and plant species, tropical temperatures and vast quantities of rain. All of these things make the rainforest so fascinating. When we speak of the rainforest, we generally mean the tropical rainforests that surround the Earth like a belt. Tropical rainforests exist in South and Central America, Africa and Southeast Asia, as well as Australia, on both sides of the equator, until roughly the 10th degree of latitude, but extending significantly beyond that in parts. Exceptions are, for example, the Andes region of South America and the Passat monsoon zone in East Africa. The variety of species contained in the rainforest is particularly fascinating. The permanent contest between animals and plants and the challenges that the extreme climate demands force the natural world to redefine itself time and again and to specialize. This special symbiosis of countless plants and animals is not simply a pile of living organisms haphazardly brought together by chance, but a finely woven together mesh that functions as a whole. One of the largest animals that inhabits this terrain is the jaguar. It is a shy loner, very rarely seen. Monkeys, like this Goldie's marmoset, are completely at home in the tall trees of the rainforest, up to 60 meters high. These trees form a huge climbing park for them. The rainforest provides them with protection, shelter, and food. But since there are no fertile regions at ground level, the monkeys are more likely to be found in the treetops, like this family of howler monkeys. But the smallest living creatures, like these leaf-cutter ants, also contribute to the functioning of the whole, whether small and colorful, gray and relaxed, or unique. The rainforests are impressive because they are teeming with life, despite, or as a result of, the extreme climatic conditions, and because of the richness of their colors. The people there also live in harmony with nature. They respect it and make use of the potentials provided by the rainforest. This jungle's evergreen, seemingly impenetrable wall of leaves instills people with great respect. And it is indeed a world of extremes that one finds here in the jungle. The prevailing climate enables this green jungle to grow. The amount of rainfall is usually more than 2 to 4 cubic meters per square meter, sometimes even 10 cubic meters per year. And with average temperatures of around 25 degrees centigrade, it is constantly warm throughout the year. The rainfall, which continues throughout the year, is particularly intense in spring and autumn, the so-called rainy seasons. At these times, so much rain falls that it cannot evaporate completely. We talk of the rainforest having a humid climate, meaning one with an extremely high degree of moisture in the air. These are the only times that can be identified as seasons, due to the scarcely varying climate without extreme heat or cold. These seasons do not exist in the way we know them in other latitudes. The vegetation in the rainforests is usually divided up into several layers. The top layer consists of very large sporadic trees which can reach a height of 60 meters. Beneath this layer is the tree canopy with its 15 to 45 meter high trees. The dense canopy of leaves allows only very little light to penetrate through to the earth, so mainly shade-loving species thrive on the forest floor. Many plants survive as seeds or little seedlings until they are given a chance to grow. For example, when one of the giant jungle trees, weakened with age, falls, creating a hole in the dense canopy. Sometimes it can get very noisy. For example, when large flocks of Amazon parrots are searching for food. But appearances are deceptive, because in the lower regions of the rainforest, where the sun seldom reaches, it is neither noisy nor impenetrably green. The typical green hell is more often found on the periphery of clearings or rivers, or in the higher layers of the rainforest, where around 2/3 of all the native flora and fauna live. It seems that no plant is like any other. Up to 1,000 different tree and plant species grow on 1 hectare of rainforest. The view over the tree canopy is also unique. Jungle as far as the eye can see. Apart from the wealth of species and their beauty, the functions of the rainforests are manifold. They act as food store, pharmacy, water reservoir, and climate regulator rolled into one. Not only the majority of the plants that serve as the basis for our medications come from the jungle, tropical forests also play an important role as green lungs. They store large quantities of the greenhouse gas carbon dioxide, thus reducing the global warming caused by us humans. Just the fact that the majority of all the animals living in the rainforests have not even been scientifically documented yet indicates the enormous variety of species. And nature has not stinted on the shapes and colors as demonstrated by the different sorts of butterflies alone. There are 180,000 different known species, and every year there are 700 new ones. This Adelpha cytherae belongs to the family of Nymphalidae butterflies. Like this owl butterfly, no wonder that it belongs to the Nymphalidae family when you look closely at its magnificent markings. The busy pattern on the underside of the wings acts as a camouflage. When the butterfly folds its wings together when resting, it is virtually invisible against the bark of a tree. The upper side of its wings, on the other hand, are usually more conspicuously colored. One of the largest butterflies, the blue morpho, is similar. The upper side of its wings are a shiny, deep metallic blue. This garish color is meant to warn possible predators that the butterfly could be poisonous. Since many butterflies, like this Doris longwing, can fertilize each other, sometimes hybrids are created, which does not make species documentation any easier. In comparison to most other butterflies, the tiger longwing has a very long life expectancy of up to 9 months, and also a correspondingly long period of metamorphosis. Small animal species like insects or amphibians, find it easier to adapt to and exist in the rainforest. The larger the animals are, the more difficult it is for them to find sufficient food. That is why there are far more rarely found in the jungle. Because of the lack of light on the floor of the rainforest, there is very little food growing there for larger mammals. Consequently, there are relatively few mammal species in the jungle, and those that do exist are scattered over a wide area. One undemanding, adaptable mammal is the peccary. The name comes from the language of the Brazilian Tupi Indians and means something like animal that makes many paths through the forest. These collared peccaries are easily recognizable due to their white-collared neck area. These New World pigs can grow up to 1 meter long and 30 kilos in weight. They like to live together in bands of 5 to 15 animals in order to be able to defend themselves en masse against predators like the jaguar. Peccaries live mainly in South and Central America. They feed on roots and tubers, grasses, seeds, small animals, eggs, and fruits. Occasionally, wild peccaries root up fields being used for agriculture. While its rough body shape and the form of its snout are definitely pig-like, peccaries have a large number of characteristics that identify them as their own family. For example, their slim, long legs. Because of their strength and their dagger-like tusks, they can even prove dangerous to their natural enemies, like the jaguar and the puma. Their flesh is particularly tasty to the Indians. The leather made from the skin of the peccary is known to be extremely supple, hard-wearing, and warming. We are greeted here by a tapir. Tapirs are the largest mammals in the South American rainforest. With a head-to-tail length of up to 2.5 meters, they are even longer than the jaguar. Although a tapir looks more like a pig, they are most closely related to the horse and the rhinoceros. Tapirs belong to the odd-toed ungulates. In other words, in contrast to the even-toed ungulates, they have an odd number of toes. Their most characteristic feature is their proboscis, which has grown together from their nose and upper lip. This prehensile snout is not only used for the uptake of their purely vegetarian diet. Tapirs have such a fine olfactory sense that they can smell the poisons in the plants of the rainforest and can specifically seek out the non-toxic ones. And that is vital for survival in the rainforest, since the majority of the plants have developed poisons against predators. Tapirs are nocturnal. During the day, they retreat into the dense undergrowth and go on the search for food at night. They do this by moving forwards with their proboscis on the ground, but they can also swim very well and like to submerge themselves and wallow in the mud. They are generally very timid and careful, and when threatened, they escape into the water or run away. When necessary, they also defend themselves by biting. Tapirs are loners and usually behave aggressively when they encounter one of their species. Only in the mating season do males and females come together for a short time. Gestation takes a year, and the rearing of the young animal by the mother another year, until it can fend for itself and be independent. Since the large herbivores are very rare, their predators are even rarer. But big cats can nevertheless still be found here. The biggest cats in the rainforest are the leopard and the jaguar. While the leopard is native to Africa and Asia, the jaguar can be found exclusively in the Americas. The jaguar looks very similar to the leopard. Both have a characteristic spotted pelt. These spots imitate the play of light and shadow that appears on the earth through the movement of the leaves in the tree canopy, and thus act as a camouflage when the big cat is lying in wait. Jaguars are loners that lay claim to specific territories of between 25 and 150 square kilometers that contain the prey they need. They usually only approach the opposite sex when they are in the mood for mating. Despite their heavy build, they are good climbers and also excellent swimmers. Although jaguars are diurnal creatures, they spend almost half of the day resting, as we can clearly see here. When they go on the hunt, they always creep up on their prey and then, after a short sprint, kill it with their sharp teeth. All the mammals living in the jungle are on the jaguar's menu, even fish and small caimans. Since it is difficult for the larger mammals to survive on the ground, some species have simply moved up a few floors and live in the jungle's tree canopy. The most conspicuous mammals in the leaf canopy are the monkeys. Many of them, especially the South American species, often have an additional grabbing tool apart from their hands and feet: their tail. Most monkeys are herbivores. Like these howler monkeys, they have carved out a cozy little space for themselves in the leaf canopy. This Goldie marmoset is a type of primate of the Caltrickidae family. Caltrickidae monkeys are omnivores, although their main diet consists of fruits, nectar, and insects. With a body size of little more than 20 centimeters, Goldie marmosets are very small, although their tail can almost be as long as their body. They like to live in small groups, are excellent climbers, and can even jump distances of 4 meters. In the order of primates, antlered monkeys belong to the family of capuchins. They are sometimes assigned to their own family group, together with the howler monkeys. However, the exact classification has not been absolutely defined. In addition to the howler and spider monkeys, antlered monkeys include the woolly and the woolly spider monkeys. These diurnal primates are known for their extreme climbing skills and only rarely come down to the ground. But despite all their dexterity, antlered monkeys sometimes fall because they have held on to a rotten branch or have been thrown off course by a gust of wind. However, the broken arms and legs that they then suffer heal relatively quickly. Antlered monkeys usually live in groups, a mix of males and females, sometimes as many as 100. Sometimes they split up into smaller subgroups when they go on their daily search for food. Sometimes the groups inhabit huge areas when they search for food, but usually do not display particularly territorial behavior. Within the group, too, compared with other primates, they seem to cohabit in a rather peaceful and non-aggressive way. communication through loud screaming plays an important role. It serves to inform other groups of their whereabouts, thus avoiding conflicts and helping to locate other group members. This is particularly pronounced in the howler monkeys, which are endowed with an enlarged lingual bone and thyroid cartilage for loud screaming. The reproduction rate of the antlered monkeys is generally very low. A female gives birth only every few years. Gestation is between 6 and 8 months, usually with a litter of just one baby. Rearing the young is primarily the responsibility of the female. After 1 to 2 years, the baby is weaned. They are rather long-lived animals, sometimes even living for several decades. The pithecid monkeys are a primate family belonging to the New World monkey group. They are certainly the closest relative of the antlered monkey. These small to medium-sized primates live in northern and central South America. The pithecid's completely hairy and bushy tail is not used for grabbing, however, but to help keep its balance. The woolly spider monkeys, which come from the antlered monkeys, are amongst the most endangered American primates. The genus is divided into 2 species, the northern woolly spider monkeys and the southern woolly spider monkeys. Simple spider monkeys are a different type of primate. Woolly spider monkeys with a body size of almost 80 centimeters are the largest New World monkeys, but also the gentlest. There are seldom any disputes within its groups. However, its existence is meanwhile greatly endangered. A group of squirrel monkeys can be seen here, chasing wildly through the rainforest. In some languages, this primate's name translates as Death's Head Monkey because of their mask-like faces and black nose. Squirrel monkeys are diurnal and arboreal and tend to inhabit the lower regions of the trees. They usually move on all fours, using their tails for balance, and are very fast and agile. The English term, squirrel monkeys, is partly due to these quick movements. The mating season of the squirrel monkeys is seasonal and very short. As part of their mating display during this time, the males become much more aggressive and gain around 20% in weight. This weight gain makes them attractive to the females, apparently, and usually the heaviest males are chosen to be the fathers of their offspring. Gestation is between 5 and 6 months. The births are often synchronized within the group and take place within just a few days of each other. At 100 grams, the young are relatively heavy. Fully grown animals generally only weigh 1 kilo. The mothers and other females care for the young. The fathers hardly at all. Squirrel monkeys feed mainly on insects and fruits, the ratios varying according to the season. But hunting for insects takes up most of the day. They also eat other parts of the plants like nectar, flowers, buds, and leaves, as well as eggs and small vertebrates. Let us take time to admire the agility of these squirrel monkeys as they effortlessly master the dizzy heights of their rainforest kingdom. Here, one animal is not living up to its name. This sloth is uncharacteristically active. Sloths spend most of their lives hanging from branches, holding on with their long claws. They can often remain in this position totally motionless for hours. These mammals, which are related to the anteater and the armadillo, have a relatively long neck and can turn their head up to 270 degrees. The dense, long hair hosts cyanobacteria, or blue-green algae, which give the fur a changing green color so that the sloth has better camouflage in the jungle. Because of the high level of humidity, the rainforest provides a home for many animals that we usually only find in water. So, toads and frogs in all colors can be found climbing about on trees, far away from any sources of water. This is a rainforest rocket frog from the genus Silverstonia flotator. This frog, very common in Central America, belongs to the poison dart frog group. Its bright colors act as a warning to its predators, because the skin of these frogs is poisonous and, if touched, can lead to paralysis or death. Here we can plainly see how big, or rather small, these rocket frogs are in comparison to flies, or to this caterpillar. Often the smallest of these frogs only need one drop of water, or the calyx of a bromelia flower filled with water, to breed its tadpoles. It's rush hour on the ant autobahn. Here we see leaf-cutter ants transporting the carefully shredded leaves to their nest. Leaf-cutter ants break down 1/5 of the entire leaf mass in the rainforest, thus maintaining the circulation of minerals. They shred the toxic leaves with their jaws and chew them up into a pulp. This then serves as a nourishment for fungi, which then develop nutrient-rich, non-toxic tubers. These, in turn, provide food for the ants and other animals in the rainforest. The tropical rainforest is fundamental to the life of the many indigenous peoples of South America, Africa, and Asia. This family has invited us to take a look at how they live, how they use what the forest has to offer, and how they protect themselves against its dangers. We witness their culture, ceremonies, and songs. Their relationship with the rainforest is based on experience gained over thousands of years and the mutual dependency between man and nature. The The indigenous peoples protect and foster the rich diversity of the rainforest. Around 1 million people live in the South American rainforest alone, in approximately 150 different indigenous tribes, in harmony with its tropical nature. There are even some of the last isolated peoples living in the jungle, people who have never come into contact with our globalized society. Plants and animals of the forest have both a ritual and daily importance for the indigenous peoples. Some plants are used for building houses and to make items for daily use, and are a source of food. Others contain dyes for body painting, are medicinal, or provide poisons for use in hunting and fishing. The inhabitants of the rainforest are self-sufficient, living from hunting, gathering, fishing, and cultivating field crops. They mainly grow a large variety of useful plants on areas obtained through fire clearance. They carry out traditional, sustainable mixed cultivation and do not farm in monocultures. These gardens are, however, only usable for a short time due to the lack of nutrients in the soil, and are later abandoned to become jungle again. Simple but extremely effective traps are constructed to protect the harvest and for hunting, but also to safeguard their huts against unwanted animals.
Acheri kuiripi pescada pito com a peixa, a pamusha, o shigrapi, a xangapi, durasha a pina. A pesca washa wasima paushkam.
The spiritual connection between plants and animals is often maintained by a shaman. Using certain chants and ritual acts, the shaman tries to get into a trance-like state in order to make contact with the gods in the spirit world, and particularly with the ancestors. Depending on the occasion, different methods are used. For example, the burning of incense, or like here, the rhythmic beating with certain plants in order to increase the effect of the incantation and to create protection for himself and others.
Lumusi samamaka, liando atarisha, ashanga taparisha, lumusi kisha yaumi. Lumusi samamaka, liando atarisha, ashanga taparisha, lumusi kisha yaumi.
Music plays a very special role in the lives of the people of the rainforest. The texts of their songs express their dreams and hopes, their daily experiences, and religious thoughts. Certainly one of the loveliest tropical plants is the heliconia, often known as the parrot plant, because of its splendid flowers that resemble a beak. The flowers are pollinated by hummingbirds, large butterflies, and even bats. Many trees in the rainforest are not there for themselves alone. They are inhabited by so-called epiphytes, strangler plants or lianas. Their aim is always the same. They want to get to the light, and large trees provide a means of transport for them. While lianas climb up the tall trees from the ground, stranglers grow from the top downwards. Once a seed transported by a bird has taken hold in the tree canopy, the banyan fig, for example, develops roots that will, in time, encircle the entire trunk of its host, and in the end, might even cause it to die. In the upper regions of the trees, many plants grow epiphytically, literally sitting upon them. They use their hosts as a support in order to get closer to the light, since it would be too dark for them in the lower levels of the jungle. But epiphytes are not parasites. They do not feed off their hosts. This tree moss, nevertheless, is created through a parasitic symbiosis between its host and a fungi growing on it. While the fungi, or rather the moss, protects the host from drying out, the tree provides the fungi with food. The hanging flowers of this brugmansia, or angel's trumpets, can grow up to 50 centimeters. These nightshade plants love warmth and prefer a sheltered location. But their beauty is deceptive, because all species of angel's trumpets contain toxic alkaloids. The rainforest, a paradise for an indescribable variety of different living organisms. In the course of evolution, animals and plants have adjusted to each other, specialized and adapted, to function as a whole. Only a fraction of them have been researched so far. But as some seek to understand the fascination of the rainforest, others try with all their might to destroy it, and with it hundreds of thousands of living organisms whose function and benefit for mankind we have to some extent not even begun to comprehend. All we can do is hope that science and common sense will win out against the destruction and exploitation before it's too late to preserve the fascinating, intricate work of art that nature has created here.